there was a seminar leader named Peter McMahon, and here's what he said. He said, you were born with 12 to 14 billion brain cells. But what we tend to do in life is we focus on lack and limitation. What we tend to do is focus on what we can't have rather than what's possible. And so we somehow damage our possibilities. Here's what he said. It's like having a table filled with mouth-watering succulent food, like a banquet. And all we do is go and pick the crumbs off the floor. It's like having $1 million in the bank, and all we do is go and get 10 cents out every now and then. We never really tap our real abilities. So what I want to do now is do some exercise with you where we can learn to tap some of our real abilities. But first, let's look at a bit more about rapport. Okay, so what is rapport? Rapport is a state of trust and responsiveness. It's a state of trust and responsiveness. How do we get it? Through matching it and mirroring. Why do we do it? So that we can pace and lead. That's the purpose. The purpose of rapport or rapport is so that we can pace and lead, so that we can influence them to do something. That's what it all is. Now, influence them to be a better person. It's not always about influencing them to give us more money or influencing them to join our business, but we can influence them in a number of ways. Okay, so there's 4 indicators of rapport. Let's talk about that. And we're going to look for this as we practice with each other, okay? The 4 indicators. So what are the 4 indicators of rapport? Number 1, first indicator of rapport is a feeling. And you mentioned that feeling before. It's a feeling of comfort. It's a feeling of being safe. So that's the first thing, is there's a feeling of safety. Now, who do we like? We like people who are like us, or like somebody we want to be like. So you think about people who you like. It's usually someone who's like you, or someone who's like somebody you would like to be like. Those are the people that you like. Now think about somebody in your life that you don't like. It's one, either someone who's not like you, or not like somebody you'd like to be like. That's who you don't like. So think about anyone you like or anyone you don't like. The person you like is someone you would like because they're like you, or like somebody you want to be like. You don't like people who are not like you or not like somebody. I'll never be like that person. Therefore, you don't like that person. So when it comes to liking and disliking, what we want to do with rapport is get someone to like us. And how do we do that? Do we tell them how good we are? No, it's not going to work. Do we try and speak and say, listen to me, listen to me, listen to me? Doesn't work. It doesn't work. They don't want to listen. They don't want to listen. You know. And so you're beating your head against the wall saying, why is no one listening to me? Okay, the way we do it is we've got to build this deep level of unconscious rapport. So the first thing is a feeling inside. It's a feeling of comfort, a feeling of safety, a feeling that everything's okay. That's the first one. Number 2. The second indicator of rapport is the skin changes. It goes from paler to darker. So the skin tonus. I'll put tonus here. Skin tonus goes from lighter to darker. And let's explain it this way. When somebody goes pale, what does that mean? When somebody goes really pale? Stressed or frightened? Scared, fearful, stressed, okay? So what happens is when you go into what's called fight-flight response, which is part of the sympathetic nervous system, we go into the fight-flight response. What happens is the blood rushes to your major muscle groups and your major organs. So we talk about the heart, the lungs, the liver, all your major organs, and the major muscles groups. So your biceps and your quadriceps, gluteus maximus, your buttocks, all these get all the blood ready to attack or run away. Okay, and so the face will pale. So the blood's available here and here, ready, because there's stress. Okay, high stress, anxiety. Okay, understand? So when somebody has a feeling of comfort, what happens is the blood doesn't need to be here and in the organs. The blood can split throughout the body. And so the face will go from lighter to darker. Just a little bit. It'll just be a slight shift. And you may see it. The face just goes a bit darker. Okay, tonus. So what they're moving from the sympathetic nervous system to the parasympathetic, which is rest and digest. They're resting, they're calm, they're relaxed, they're feeling good. Okay, so that's the second indicator of rapport. Third indicator of rapport. Number 3 is they may say something like, have we met before? Do I know you from somewhere? Who's ever had a conversation like that? And somebody said, do I know you? Yeah, if you've had that conversation, that's what you've done. You've got the third level of rapport. Now you might not even be aware of these two, but you got the third one, you went, oh yeah, that's, or maybe you said it, have I met you before? Because there's a feeling of familiarity. Feeling of familiarity means we're relaxed, we're calm, this is familiar, it's like family. Okay, the way you feel around your family. If you get that with a new person, you go, have I met you before? Because I don't normally feel this way unless I'm with my family and I'm really comfortable. Okay, so it's a feeling of familiarity, and they'll say something like, have we met? Do I know you? Have we met? Do I know you? We met before? Sure, I know who you are. And number 4, and you'll notice if you think back to one of the stories I told at the beginning, the 4th indicator of rapport is that you move and they follow. You move, they follow. You move and they follow. And those are the 4 indicators of rapport. Any questions? Thoughts, comments? Is this easy to understand? Yeah, easy to follow? Excellent. Excellent, that's what we want.
I got a question.
Yeah, sure.
With the second one,
Yep.
I understand, I agree, but I don't remember a single time I noticed like someone face with
Yes.
Maybe I wasn't aware of it and I was not like trying to spot.
So what you're looking at here is called sensory acuity. Sensory acuity. So what happens is a person can become acutely sensitive to that. And you don't notice things before you notice, you know. Once you know something, you can start looking for it. But before you've been taught this or before you understand, you won't even look for it.
Yeah.
When you know something, you can look for it. For example, with matching and mirroring, if you were never taught that and somebody's standing in the exact same posture as you're standing, you would never know. But if you've been trained in NLP and you see somebody standing that way, you'll say, are you following me or did I follow you? Because you recognize it, you see it. So without the training, you don't know. You don't see it. But now that you've seen this, or been taught this, I would encourage you to look for it. Because what we're looking at is sensory acuity, using your senses to really, really look for it and say, is this person feeling more comfortable?
So it's most of the time noticeable.
Just a little, it's only a little tiny, it could be 1 or 2 shades. But it's only a little bit, but little indicators like that. There's a few things when you really drill down deep into sensory acuity, you look for things like eye patterns. You look for things like the lips. The lips can tighten and shrink, or the lips can become more full, and they all have meaning. Everything has meaning in the face. Everything can tighten. Different facial, if you know anything about micro expressions.
So interrogation technique.
So micro expressions tell you things, but most people are not trained in micro expressions. They don't know what is happening. But if you're trained in it, you'll see it and you'll recognize it. If you've seen the TV series Lie to Me, there's a TV show called Lie to Me, and in that TV show, he looks for these micro expressions and he can tell if somebody's telling the truth or lying. Also, eye patterns. There's one direction for visual remember, one for visual create. So if somebody's creating a memory, if somebody's lying, their eye patterns will go up in a certain direction, and if they're telling a true story, their eye patterns will go up in another direction. There's different things that different people do. And this is it's not always the case for every person that each eye pattern is the same. But most right-handed, naturally organised people will be the same. And so you've got to test it with a few things so you can calibrate, and then you find out, well, does this person lie when they go up to the right or up to the left? And once you've got it, once you've calibrated it, you've worked it out, then you know that this is the pattern for this person when they're lying, and this is the pattern for this person when they tell the truth.